Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the SmashBros AMA, brought to you by The Daily Dot. I, of course, am your host, Ian Double John Barker, bringing you another week of clever Smash banter and, of course, tech tips from the top players in the Smash community. Thank you so much for tuning in, and if you're a regular visitor or a regular question asker, welcome back once again. Joining us tonight, we've got a very special AMA, as they all are, but this one comes not from a Fox player, which I gotta say, guys, is an exciting thing for me. Very excited to not be interviewing a Fox. Not that there's anything wrong with you guys. Cough, cough, Armada. But joining us this evening is a Canadian player of much fame who has really elevated Samus to a new level alongside the likes of Hugs and ESAM. Very much taken the Smash scene by storm. Welcome to the show, Mr. James Duck Ma. James, how are you doing this evening?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good.
Your last name's Ma, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I looked it up, obviously, because we're not close personal friends or anything, and at the very last second, my brain did that thing where it's like, is it Ma or Ha? We're gonna go with Ma and hope it's for the best, but I'm glad we nailed it. James, welcome to the show. We're very excited to ask you the questions. For those of you who at home who aren't familiar with the format, every week, we submit a new guest to the SmashBros subreddit. The mods over there very graciously put up a thread for us. You put in your favorite questions, upvote your favorites, downvote your least favorites, and then we have our guest on every Thursday right here, same bat time, same bat channel, to answer the worst you have to offer. Duck, my friend, are you ready for another cavalcade of inquisitive minds?
I'm very, very ready.
Excellent. Let's make this happen. So we're going to kick things off right off the bat with a top voted question from Peanut Butter 1236. Peanut Butter, welcome to the show. You and Hugs definitely inspired me to play Samus 2. I've heard Hugs' story about why he chose Samus, but why did you?
I actually started playing Samus when I was a complete casual. And my favorite thing to do was to shoot somebody with a missile and then combo it into charge shot. And it turns out that that's a real combo that you can use in competitive play. And so, like, I started with Samus, and I just kept playing her, and she was just by far the most fun character in the whole game for me. And I just stuck with her, and, well, here I am now.
I mean, that seems like as good a reason as any. I'm actually a big Samus player in Melee myself, although I cannot replicate the things you can do. We'll have to talk after this. He can give you some tips. More importantly, you talked about how the character is fun to play, and we were talking beforehand about how it's also fun to play a character like Fox, and frankly, it's fun to see Samus winning against Fox. When it comes to making decisions about what character they're going to play, how many players do you think make the decision based on what's fun as opposed to what gives them the best chance to win?
I would say that somewhere around like 95% of players pick the character that's most fun for them. Because if you're playing a character and you can win with it, but it's not fun, you're not going to keep playing. You're not going to like keep putting in like the work and the research to, you know, further develop this character.
You really think it's that high of people choosing fun over function? Is Fox just that much fun?
I really do believe that. Like, of course there's people that jump on bandwagons and then just stick with it, but I feel like the majority of Fox players do think that Fox is the most fun character. Like, even if you ask Armada, he'll say that even though he still loves Peach, he says when he switches from Peach to Fox, he feels like it's this whole new world because he has so many more options compared to Peach.
I will refrain from singing the Disney song for the sake of our viewers. It's interesting to hear, frankly, after so many years of evolving competition and people sort of pushing their game to the max, that fun is still a part of it. We know what player's your favorite to play in terms of fun factor. Which is your least favorite or the least fun to play against?
This is a pretty well-known fact, but I hate Captain Falcon. I hate Captain Falcon with an enormous passion.
Why is that? Yeah.
The way he plays against Samus is just so incredibly lame, and he can spam aerials like in place or retreating, and Samus has no real good answer. So what I say is that Falcon does moves on the other side of the stage, and then Samus gets to watch him do those moves until he decides he wants to, play the game.
I think that's how a lot of people feel about Jigglypuff constantly planking in their face until they finally connect. Shout out to Tech for coming on the show last week. We talked a little bit about what's fun for you, to get inside the mind of Duck, and I hope we get back to that a little bit. But as we all know, when we have a guest who plays a unique character on the show, there's always a bevy of tech questions. We've already got our first one for you. This next one comes from Tizapanda. Tizapanda wants to know, hey, Duck, how do you power shield so consistently? Is there some secret?
People have actually asked me this they've been asking me this question for a very long time, and it's not really a secret. It's just when I started playing the game, my main training partner was Moose, who's now in NorCal. But he was a Falco player, and he was probably the lamest Falco of all time. He would do nothing except stand on the other side of the stage and jump and laser. And when I first started the game, I didn't know what power shielding was. And so my solution was to just keep ramming my face into the lasers until I got over there. And I would try to hit him. And then I read somewhere on SmashBoards where it's like, if you shield the laser at the perfect time, it goes back to the Falco. And so I was like, if I get really good at this, then I have a laser, and he has to shield it.
I was going to say it's like you have a shine, but I guess it's certainly not the same effect. But please continue.
It's just like I put in a lot of hours playing against Falco, and I focused on that a lot, and I've basically just kept the ability to do that since I started playing.
You mentioned picking that tech up on SmashBoards, and I feel like there's a point in every young Smasher's career where they find SmashBoards, they find the tutorial, they find this fountain of information, and they make the transformation from, as you said, a mere casual to an actual aspiring pro player. At what point in your life did you make that switch and decide, you know what, this is something I kind of want to do for money?
For me personally, Smash is still not really something that I do for money. I do it just because it's a lot of fun, and it's basically my hobby. Yeah, I just happen to be good at it. But I was introduced to the game competitively by a Smasher named Tech Zero. This is a very, very old name. I don't know if very many people know who he is still, but he was one of the best Sheik players back in the day. And I started in 2009. He came to Michigan randomly just to visit some friends, and I ended up coincidentally playing him because he was friends of a friend. And he was the one that taught me Samus tech. He taught me up out of shield, and he taught me crouch cancel down smash. And that was basically when I started entering tournaments, and it was a lot of fun, so I just kept going. And I never stopped.
And so those two techniques just sort of opened your eyes and said, I could get better at this. I can do this for fun.
Yeah, pretty much. It was just like my friend Moose. He was significantly better than me at the time, and I kept losing. And I really, really hate losing. I feel like this is pretty common among Smash players in general. It's just we all really hate losing, and so I just kept playing to get better, and then. We were actually similar in skill for a really, really long time. And then I finally broke out, and he semi-retired.
And you just kept pushing on and kept getting better at Samus, huh?
Yeah, I played the game. I kept going to tournaments. I kept making friends. Just through the game, and I would want to see them again, and so I would just keep playing, and it's just like the cycle of being dragged into the Smash community, and I've enjoyed every second.
Well, there you go. And you obviously learned some valuable tech that a lot of people want to be taught. So the original question did ask, is there a secret? Because if so other people can't do it consistently and you can, what's the technique? What do people need to know to replicate your success with the power shield?
I don't think there's not really a secret. You just sort of press the button at the right time.
Oh, I see. So tell me more.
I guess when I first started doing it against Moose, he would only shoot one laser height. And so I would think of it in terms of like tempo, like music. And so he would shoot a laser, and then if I got the normal shield, then I would press a little bit later and match his tempo. And if I got hit by the laser, I'd press it a little bit earlier. But he eventually started switching up his laser timings, so it got a lot harder. And it all really comes down to you just have to press the button at the right time.
Well, that's no fun. We wanted a quick fix, something to improve our technique overnight. Nobody likes to hear that it takes more work, Duck. Nobody. Well, we'll move on to the next question. This is actually another one from Tizapanda. By the way, I love that your name is Duck. You practice with a person named Moose, and now we've got questions from a panda. Tizapanda also wants to know, how do you think Samus fares against the other tournament-relevant characters, and why?
Unfortunately, Samus loses to basically every relevant tournament character, with the exception of Ice Climbers and I guess Pikachu and Luigi. But she loses to the top 7. But it's not. She doesn't lose them to the point where it's unwinnable. But it's definitely a struggle for her.
Okay, so why are those particular matchups weak for her?
Well, the reason the top 7 characters are good is because they all have good out of shield options. They all have very strong neutrals. They all have good punish games. And the biggest issue that Samus has as a character is her inability to affect shield. Because all of her moves are really negative on shield. They're very easily punishable on shield. And her grab is just so terrible. And so just that combination of things makes Samus really, really bad. At least in terms of her matchups against the top 7.
So and yet you, Mr. Duck, and a couple other players with you have managed to find success with Samus, and I've heard that part of that comes from the fact that she's an extremely difficult character to play. So as I'm sure a lot of Samus players are watching and wondering, how can I replicate Duck's success? What do you do to get past the shortcomings of Samus against those top 7 matchups?
What I struggled with for a long time was sort of just accepting that I couldn't do anything to shield, that I just had to grab. And then after that, it was accepting that there's no answer to Samus beating this character. Like, I can't stick with one strategy to beat Fox. I can't stick with one strategy to beat Falcon. It was just coming to terms with that, and then changing my playstyle to be incredibly player-based. Basically, everything that you do, you have to read the other character's movement and punish them for it. You can't just always be doing this or always be doing that, because Samus isn't, she's not like that. You can't just abuse your way to victory. You can't press buttons and win.
Although when you do press buttons, make sure you press them at the right time. That seems to be a common answer among Smashers, is that the game is evolving to a point where there is no, tune that you dance to in order to beat a Falco or a Fox, because people have figured out that even though they can use a technique and use it to great effect, switching up that technique and deploying it at the right time is extremely important. So then give us a little bit more insider information. How do you practice, or how do you learn to read other players? What do you look for?
A lot of what I do is I bank on the fact that I know more about all the situations than they do, because that's most likely true. I'm a fairly analytical player. I think about a lot of different situations all the time, and I look up solutions for them. And so when I play somebody, generally, I can put them in situations they've never been in before, and I have been in before. And I know the answer, and they don't know the answer. I also know the most common Fox player habits that they have from playing other characters. And just adapting throughout a match.
Well, there you go. It sounds like a lot of on-the-spot stuff. Certainly, a lot of stuff that I'm sure is difficult to practice for, without being in the room, in those big rooms across the country. So that actually segues nicely into our next question, which comes from Ramen Noodles, or it's RMN Noodles. I imagine it's Ramen. Ramen Noodles wants to know, Yo, Duck, what do you think it will take for you to dethrone the rest of the top 6? So you're in the room, you're in one of those big major event rooms, and you're facing off. You're taking mental jabs at the top 6 players in the world. Break it down for us. How do you beat them?
If I had an answer, uh, I would be doing it right now.
Yep.
But it's something that I've been working on. Um, I haven't been able to play. I haven't played Mewtwo King or Hungrybox in a very, very long time, and I would love a shot at PP again. But I've taken at least one game off of all of them, uh, and so I definitely feel like it's possible if I'm playing really, really well. Yeah, I have to work on just being a better player. Like I have to take my punishes as far as they can go, and I just have to be smart. Be smart about it.
Be smart. A good tip for us all. Talking about these players, and you're saying that you've taken a game off of them. What does it do to your confidence when you look back on a tournament? You say, you know what, I've beat. I've beat Armada at this in this stage, in this situation, whatever before. What does that do to your confidence going forward as you face them off in future tournaments?
It it actually does a lot because the first time I played each of them individually, I felt like they were like a level above me, like they were the big six, that they were this like impassable entity that I couldn't beat. But the more that I've played them, the more human that they feel and the more beatable that they feel. But generally, I don't really remember my wins that often. I remember it just because people always ask me, and then I have to bring up the statistic. But I remember my losses a lot more clearly than my wins.
Do you think that's a healthy mentality? Because I've seen some people drive themselves into the ground, focusing only on their shortcomings and not on their victories.
I think it's uh, as long as it's healthy. I think both perspectives work. But if you look too heavily on your victories and ignore your losses, that's also very, very terrible.
I'm the best. I've never lost. Absolutely. And so, okay, so you talk about a healthy mentality when it comes to addressing those losses. Is that just a matter of looking at those losses not as, oh, I suck? Is it a matter of, it feels like the best way to approach them is just to break them down and sort of look at them analytically and figure out what you could do better. So how do you reflect on your losses that the people at home could take advantage of?
I think about the situations where I lost to neutral specifically because punish game is something that's sort of it's getting to the point where it's sort of flowcharty now because everybody has some sort of reaction tech chase punish setup, and so I look at neutral situations like when did I lose center stage, how did this kill setup happen, like did I make the right decision? Did I make these decisions because I was conditioned or because I actually thought it was a good decision? And like, what habits did my play bring up in the other player that I wasn't taking advantage of? So things like that.
I hope the people watching at home are taking notes because this is grade A competitive analysis that you're treating us to. So thank you so much, James. Moving on to our next question. This one comes from Warwing25. Warwing25 wants to know, what do you think of the recent rise in Samus's results at major tournaments by you, Hugs, and Plup? How on earth, James, did I forget about Plup? As a Samus, Cardinalson, please deliver me from my ignorance and tell me what has made Samus a better character in recent tournaments.
Well, first of all, Plup is a dirty traitor. He's definitely not a Samus main anymore. Co-main maybe, but definitely not a Samus main anymore. The rise of Samus in results is basically us pushing the character further than she's ever been taken before. And in terms of like how much work people have put in to their characters, Samus, me, Hugs, and Plup have all put a lot more work compared to how much work the other characters have been putting in. At least in terms of like a lot of the matchups. Yeah.
So then the question becomes, do you guys collaborate? I know over in the FGC we have a group of Ken players that work together and call themselves the Trinity. Is this the Samus Trinity? Are you guys going to bring it to the top?
Honestly, I do most of the things on my own, and then I'll talk to Hugs or Plup after to like sort of confirm or like look to see if this is actually good or is it bad. Um, yeah, they don't really message me with stuff. I message them with stuff. Plup recently has been helping me. He did video critique for me. He also messages me sometimes after I lose to tell me how bad I am and to give me some advice.
That's a true friend. And by the way, I see Sam in the chat upset that we didn't mention him in terms of top Samuses. I mentioned you earlier, dude. Tune in. Get on the ball. 6 p.m. every night. Or 4 p.m. Central if you're on the West Coast, whatever it is. We've talked a little bit about your Smash career. We've talked about the things that you like to do in the game. You said this is like a hobby for you, but Deculta wants to know, what do you enjoy outside of Smash? Besides Smash, what are your other hobbies, the things that you don't do when you're working hard?
Outside of Smash and work, I basically just hang out with my friends like everybody else. I like watching movies and whatnot. I'm following like Game of Thrones right now. In terms of games, I have a group of friends where we sort of just rotate across online games. And so right now we're probably gonna play Overwatch, where the beta just released today, I think. The open beta. Today or yesterday. But definitely looking forward to that.
I'm not going to miss this opportunity to pimp Factorio. Have you played Factorio?
No, I have no idea what that is.
You're an engineer, are you not?
Yeah.
Okay. Play Factorio. Get your friends together, your engineering friends together, and play Factorio. For those of you at home who aren't familiar with the game and know this is not a paid promotion, I'm just addicted. But I can quit whenever I want, damn it. Factorio is a game where you start with like just a mining drill, and you mine coal, and then you power the coal drill, and you get more coal, and then you build, and then you get copper and iron, and you build machines until you literally cover the entire map in factories, and you launch a rocket, and it's awesome. And I needed to tell somebody about it, so thank you so much, James, for being the guy that I can vent my nerdy obsession with Factorio on. I really appreciate that. Next question comes from Rainbow on Fire. Rainbow on Fire wants to know, how did your tag Duck come to be? And also, as a PS, Quack.
I hate telling this story because it's a terrible, terrible story. So I mentioned earlier before that Tech Zero came and he taught me crouch cancel down smash up the outer shield. And he also told me that if I played competitively, I had to
Duck, just I hate to interrupt you real quick, but we are having some issues with your audio. You've gone from regular Duck, regular analog Duck to robot Duck, which means the evolution is complete. Looks like we're still struggling with Duck's camera really quick. Duck, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, your internet took a nosedive, and you now look like a blurry blob of young, handsome Samus player. Some guests are so big you simply can't contain them in a single week. But apologies to everybody who tuned in last week, by the way, for the technical issues. But he is back. We're pretty sure his internet works this time, well enough to get the interview done anyway, so we're hoping for the best. Please welcome back James Duck Ma. James, how are you this evening?
So, pretty good.
Anyway, welcome back to the show. For those of you who aren't aware of the format or didn't see the format last week, we're going to do a little bit of AMA action. Every week we put out a new guest for the R Smash Brothers subreddit. The mods very graciously put up an AMA thread, and then you go in there, ask your favorite questions, upvote the ones you want to hear, downvote the ones you don't give a shit about, and we bring the guest in every Thursday to answer those questions. But first, since we did a little bit of this last week with James, we wanted to give you that fresh, meaty, juicy new content. So let's talk a little bit, James, if you're up for it, about DreamHack. You were in a tiny little tournament in Texas recently, were you not?
Yeah, I was. I did not do as well as I wanted to. And I think overall that day I didn't play very well. I played pretty good against Diz. But overall I don't think I played very well. But I saw a lot of things that I could improve on, so I've been working on that.
Well, let's start from the beginning because I mean, you were at a tournament, technically speaking, but you were also in the beautiful city of Austin, Texas. How was the weather in the city for you?
Austin was really, really nice day one. And then second day it rained like the almost the entire day, and it was terrible. But
I do remember that because it rarely happens around here.
yeah, it's the weather's okay. It's very humid if you're okay with that, but the weather itself is pretty nice. The city is very alive. There's like it's the tournament was actually right next to a street that was just a line full of bars. And so when we walked around to eat, there's just people everywhere. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a lot cooler during the daytime when everybody's sober, or at least most of the people are sober. Quick question though, did you get to try any of the food trucks out at the convention center? Because I heard that there was a bit of a buzz about cilantro, the kimchi Korean barbecue fries that were out there. Did you get to partake?
I did not. I did eat Texas barbecue though for the first time.
Where did you go? Because that's important.
I don't remember the name.
It must not have been very good then.
I thought it was delicious, but I think MacD dragged me over there in the morning, and then I'm not a very functional morning person, so I just sort of zombied my way in, got my food.
You didn't get into Franklin's, did you?
I don't think so.
That's like a pilgrimage for Texas barbecue, but there's a lot of good places around here. But you and MacD actually had breakfast barbecue.
Yeah, we had breakfast barbecue. I think I got prime rib and I got brisket. And when I asked for brisket, he said juicy or lean, which is not a question I've ever been asked before. So. Of course, I said juicy.
Yeah, it's also a question with a pretty obvious answer.
And so that was amazing. MacD I think he got some sausage and sirloin, which is pretty good. And then for whatever reason, he decided to get apple cobbler for breakfast, which I disagree with, but you know.
Are you not a fan of cobbler or apples? What's the issue with the dish there?
It's more like dessert in the morning seems sort of off to me. I don't know. It just feels weird.
I have become addicted to Sonic's French toast sticks, which I can assure you are about as close to dessert for breakfast as you can get without actually getting like a cobbler or ice cream and stuff like that. Well, we won't talk about food too much, but I can assure you, you should very much wish that DreamHack comes back to Austin, because you've only scratched the surface of Austin food, my friend. I assure you, it gets even better from there. So the tournament was upstairs in its own area. I feel like the Smash area actually could have been a little bit bigger, because by the time the championship rolled around, the turnout was massive. You could barely fit everybody in that space.
Yeah, so the same thing actually happened at DreamHack Winter, where DreamHack significantly underestimated how many people Smash really brings. So DreamHack Winter, the space we had was even smaller, but we packed it to the brim. When top 8 was happening, there was just rows and rows and rows of chairs. Same thing at Austin. Mm-hmm. Finals, top 8, just people would steal chairs from the other games and come watch. There's even a video on Reddit where you can hear the Smash crowd from the Street Fighter V commentary.
They were right next to each other. You could barely there was only enough of a space to get Mango's autograph line down the middle. Spoiler alert, by the way. Yeah, so that doesn't surprise me. I think I even saw a few people in the Street Fighter area, sitting in their chair, but pointed in the direction of Smash the whole time. So they were just encroaching on their space. Well, let's talk a little bit about your play, because you said you didn't play as well as you wanted to. What went wrong in the bracket in Austin?
Against Lucky, I dropped basically everything in terms of punishes, and then for neutral, I think. I want to say I sort of respected him a little bit too much, which meant that I didn't call out a lot of the things he was doing that were unsafe.
I thought that was a shots fired thing. I shouldn't respect Lucky as much as I did.
No. This is just in terms of playstyle and the risks I was willing to take. I played way too safe. I wasn't willing to throw myself at him when he was platform camping. And if I don't do that, I'm just gonna lose. You saw that in game 1 and 3. We would play neutral, he would get a lead, and then he would just keep platform camping, I would play safe, and that's just a losing strategy. But in game 2, I started off with a lead, and I played incredibly safe, and then he tried platform camping, and then I won because that's not a winning strategy the other way around. It was just, yeah, I played way too safe, and I lost.
So you got to dictate the tempo in game 2, is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Which is important against Fox, who's the only thing you can do to slow him down is unplug the controller. It feels like.
You can hit him until he's dead. It's a pretty solid approach.
I've heard that's a pretty good strategy, and it's worked a couple times in the past. So what went wrong in game 3 that put you in the lower bracket?
Game 3, similarly, I played way too safe on Yoshi's, so I didn't take risks on a stage where the higher risk options are more rewarded. And I just dropped a lot of edge guards and punishes. It was not very solid play.
So it wasn't just like that you got outplayed. It was that maybe there's a little bit of sloppiness. Was there any nerves? I mean, the crowd was big.
I haven't had tourney nerves in a while.
Gotcha.
It's definitely been a minute. But I don't like talking about like somebody outplaying somebody else because like whatever the results is, that's the results. Like maybe you're a better player, but at this moment in time, they're just better than you, and so they won. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's important to recognize that not every competitive match, whether it's in sports, whether it's in esports, or whether it's in checkers, is determined by a player's skill. You know, if there was literally just a power ranking system and 1 beat 2 and 2 beat 3, there wouldn't be much point in playing in the tournament, would there? But you kept fighting. You got a couple more wins in the lower bracket, and then you ran up against Nintendo, that dirty Ice Climbers picker. Talk to me about that match.
Well, before that, I want to talk about DizKid.
Please.
Because I beat him in losers right before I had to play Nintendo. And DizKid 9-stocked me over 3 games the last time we played. It was really bad. And so after that tournament where I got demolished, I actually went back and I talked to Plup and Hugs about the matchup a lot. I looked up. I just watched a ton of matches. I came up with some of my own theories. I talked to some ices that I know about it. I tested some of those strategies out with a local Ice Climbers player, Quang. And yeah, I just put a lot of time into it, and then I beat Diz. And so I was pretty happy about that. And then against Nintendo, I had a lot of tech flubs, and Ices punishes tech flubs like really hard. I think there's a point in one of the matches where I do a standing homing missile in front of him, and he just like grabs me. It's like, well, I didn't try to do that at all. And then like there were small things like I would just miss hits on Nana and she wouldn't die. It was just yeah.
So, sometimes it feels like Nana's a marshmallow, and sometimes it feels like she's friggin' Superman. The way she just simply will not get off the ledge for whatever reason. Okay, so you lost to Nintendo, finished in the top 12 though. Next event for you. What's next for you, and how do you fix the mistakes from this tournament?
The next event for me will be, I think, Gommel, which is in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. And so I'm pretty excited for that. I love going to Canada. The Canadians are all homies. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited to just play everybody again. I really want a chance to play one of the gods again to see if I could do it. My current plan going forward is to just try to keep tabs on like what's happening during a set, like between games, like what strategies failed and what strategies worked. Generally, how I play is I'll go on with a set like number of strategies. Like I have like 10 different things, and then if one of them doesn't work, I'll discard it, and then I'll keep doing that until I end up with like some strategies that work against this player. But that's sort of a slow process. Yeah, it's slow. Sometimes it'll take me like a couple stocks to actually get acclimated to the opponent, and sometimes it's just too late. And so I've been thinking that maybe I should focus on what strategies work really effectively as well, instead of just discarding the ones that don't.
Yeah, no reason to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Maybe there's something there that works. You just haven't quite refined it yet. Well, Duck, we look forward to seeing you at Gommel. But in the meantime, now that we're done talking about DreamHack, we have some questions for you. Now, you've done this before. Unlike our other guests, you are an experienced our SmashBros AMA guest. So are you ready for the rest of what the community has to offer?
I'm ready.
Excellent. Well, let's go ahead and move on to our first question. The first one, actually, the next one after the series that we asked last week was, what do you enjoy outside of Smash? And this one comes from Decalta. We may have actually touched on this one last week, but refresh our memories.
All right. So outside of Smash, I basically just hang out with people. I like to read manga. I'm not an anime watcher, which is, a good thing and a bad thing.
There's like some derision in your tone. What is the social difference between somebody who reads manga and an anime watcher?
They're both pretty bad, but somebody watching anime is just way funnier. We have a running joke where we call people weebs, which is basically just means that they watch anime all the time. That's basically what it means to us. Mm-hmm. The real meaning is slightly different and more derogatory, I suppose, but yeah. It's basically just a joke that we have with our friends. So yeah, I'm a manga reader. I don't watch anime because to me it takes up a lot of time, and because I don't watch manga, I miss a lot of references to the people that do watch anime all the time and constantly listen to like Toph commentary. He references anime so much. Mm-hmm. And the ones that I get, or the references that I get, are hilarious. But sometimes he just talks about stuff that I just don't know.
Yeah, I will say, Toph and Scar, both of you, we love your commentary, but I don't watch any anime, and I would love to follow along with a match. This one comes to you from your boy Ian J. Barker. So yeah, it's funny that you mentioned, anime takes up a lot of time, because essentially, like, people say, I watch anime. I mean, what it is you're watching TV. You're watching a lot of TV. It's just a particular animation style. So I can imagine that with your job and with competitive Smash, it's a little bit hard to step away and watch Attack on Titan to any appreciable degree.
Yeah, I don't really watch TV either. So yeah, I guess I'm following Game of Thrones right now, but that's really the only TV that I'm watching. Yeah.
I thought you meant like you don't watch it, you just like read about it. I'm like, you're kind of missing out on the best parts, which is the full show. Well, either way, excellent taste, my friend. I am a big Game of Thrones fan myself. Just don't give away any spoilers on the show, or I'm sure we'll have more than a couple people angry with the both of us. Let's move on to our next question. This one comes to us from Rainbow on Fire. Rainbow on Fire wants to know, how did your tag Duck come to be? And he follows up with Quack. By the way, I believe this is the question that you disconnected on last week, so I'm going to sit here and cross my fingers that it doesn't happen this week. Your answer. All
right, so I don't like answering this question because it's really lame. I'm sure everybody else like has just a really lame story for their tag, but basically when I started playing, I was told that I needed to have a tag, right? And so in my head, because you can only enter 4 letters into the Melee name thing, your tag had to be 4 letters. And so I couldn't think of anything. So I went into the random name generator and I hit random until I got Duck. And so the joke, at least for me, was that I crouch canceled a lot. And so I'm ducking a lot. And so Duck isn't actually a reference to the animal. It's actually a reference to the action. But I don't think anybody understood that. And so I've basically been the animal for like my entire Smash career.
And I will admit, I thought it was the animal too, but that's also because I'm a huge fan of ducks. You said everybody has a funny way of getting their name, but that sounds pretty hilarious for my money, because I, for one, didn't actually even know that there was a random name generator in Melee. I just always put in my tag immediately and just never let it happen. When you were scrolling through so many years ago when you found the tag Duck, what were the other possibilities for that could have been your tag now? What could we be calling you right now?
I really only hit random like 3 or 4 times. I have no idea. But my tag actually meshed together with my friends, Moose. We would team together, and so our team name was Duck Duck Moose. And so we just it just eventually became the animal, and I'm okay with it. Ducks are pretty cool.
I thought it was because the duck moose is native to Michigan, but what do I know? Moving on to our next question. This next one comes to us from Dreamcast fan. Dreamcast fan wants to know, which one of your wins are you most proud of?
Um, so this is sort of a strange question because in terms of like career wins, obviously Leffen is my biggest win. But in terms of like personally, my win over Swedish at Big House was like a really big accomplishment for me. Because it was game 5, and at some point in the game, the last game, I actually killed myself, and so I was down 4 stocks to do against Sheik on Dreamland. Uh, and Swedish is pretty campy. The matchup's really hard, and Swedish is really, really good at this game. And so I basically, at that point when I killed myself, I was like, okay, I'm probably going to lose. So I'm just going to play the absolute best that I can. Whatever happens, happens. And I actually ended up winning. And so for those of you that were there or who saw the pictures, that's the only time I've ever like popped off after a win. I jumped out my chair. I like fist pumped. I yelled like yes. And then so yeah, for me personally, that was like my proudest moment because I had actually pretty much conceded and decided that I was just gonna play as like as well as I could at the moment.
Now I have to ask, what is with the community's? I wouldn't call it an aversion. The community has a controversial or sort of two-sided outlook on popping off, and my question to you is why? I mean, Smash is a hype game. You're playing in close sets. Obviously, winning with Samus is a challenge in its own right. Why do people not like it when people get excited about their wins? Because as far as I could tell, there's a lot to be excited about.
I think it sort of depends on like who is doing it and how often they do it. I think this question that you're asking could be applied a lot to like Hungrybox. Like, why do people hate it when Hungrybox pops off?
Is that maybe it? It's a matter of like Hungrybox popped off a lot, and so it kind of gained this stigma among Melee fans.
Yeah, it really depends on the person because people hate it when Hungrybox or they're not really a big fan of it when Hungrybox does it because he always does it, and he'll do it even against like people that aren't like in his skill level. Like he'll beat like, well, I don't want to like
Be
take
careful
shots at
now.
anybody.
Yeah.
But okay, so me, like, let's say he beats, or no, here's the best example. He beat Prince Abu at Genesis 3 Cruise in a Puff Ditto, and he popped off. This was like a 2-stock, a very clean win, and he popped off.
Okay,
and
but
so
I mean,
it's just like,
but
why?
Prince Abu is the second best Jigglypuff in the world. I mean, I'm not agreeing with it. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I mean, if you beat Hugs or if you beat Plup and Samus, wouldn't you be excited?
Yeah, but the skill gap between me and Hugs and like Prince Abu and Hungrybox is like not comparable. Like Hungrybox is the better player. He's better at the matchup. There's almost no way that he could lose. And it wasn't exactly like a close game either. So it's just sort of like, why? And like that's just who he is. Like he gets pretty emotionally invested into his games and his wins, and that's fine. But I can understand why people don't like it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And I think people are always a little bit more excited to see somebody who isn't known for popping off, pop off. Like, if you beat, like, Armada, please pop off, because Reddit and the rest of us will just lose our damn minds. And not to mention, we'd be incredibly impressed to see Armada lose to a Samus. That alone is a feat. Moving on to our next question. This next one comes from Dreamcast fan as well. I believe you have a fan. Dreamcast one wants to know, do you consider yourself the charge shot master?
If you've ever listened to Plup commentate any of my sets, you'll know that I'm not the charge shot master. I'm not even close to the charge shot master. In fact, according to Plup, I have the worst charge shots of all time. I'm only better than Hugo at charge shots. And so if I had to give it to somebody, it would definitely be Plup and not me.
Are you really going to cede that title so easily? I mean, because is that not a big part of Samus's kit? I confess to not knowing much about how to play the character.
It's sort of like cheesy, in some ways. Like, if the charge shot's not guaranteed, then you're sort of just like calling somebody out and saying that you're gonna do this right now. But the issue with doing those charge shot a lot is that if you're wrong, you look really dumb, first of all. And second of all, depending on the character, they could actually punish you pretty hard for it. Like, if you call out Fox is going to jump and you preemptively jump and shoot a charge shot, and he does jump shine, then you're going to get hit because, like, shooting charge shots pretty laggy. It's just, yeah, like, Plup's really good at just figuring out when people want to do something and just calling them out. And his success rate with charge shots is actually ridiculous. Mine is nowhere near that. I generally use it just to tack on damage to like force people to shield, or I do guaranteed stuff. Plub actually uses it to like get kills and stuff. It's just different usages. And yeah, I will definitely cede the title to Plub.
It's too bad he's a dirty cheek picker.
Yeah.
It's a darn shame. And obviously, you know, one of the things that people talk about with Smash is that just because you play a character doesn't mean that you have to use all of their moves. Charge Shot is one of those ones that I guess when I first approached Melee and I was sort of starting to figure it out, I thought, there's no way anybody's going to use this. This is a slow-moving ball of electricity. People are going to see it coming a mile away. How do you guarantee, as you so eloquently put it, how do you guarantee charge shots? Because that seems like something that I need to know.
There's just like there's guaranteed setups you can do for it, like down air, charge shot, up throw. There's like guaranteed edge guards that you can do with it too. It's just these situations don't come up that often, but you can sort of make them happen if you play for it.
So it's not one of those things where it's like the up throw rest or something like that. There's actually probably some prep in the neutral game in order to get them into the right position, I would imagine. Which
well, you can up throw charge shot, which is sort of like rest, and you can actually down throw. You can down throw charge shot puff. It's a pretty difficult reaction, but it's something you can do.
And not to mention, the best part about up throw charge shot is that you can then land and taunt, which unfortunately you can't do when you're Jigglypuff. Moving on to our next question. This next one comes from Mega Crazy. Mega Crazy wants to know, which Samus matchups are you the best in?
I would say right now, I guess, which Samus matchups am I best in? Personally, my best matchups are Fox, probably Falco, and Puff. I would have said Peach a couple months ago, but I don't really get to play the matchup that much anymore. But I'm still really, really good at it. Like, I don't think I should be losing to any Peach that's not Armada, even though I did lose to McCain twice. 3 times? No, twice. Yeah, I lost to him twice.
It's a down smash, man. You got to look out for it.
Yeah, McCain's really good at the matchup, and like, I feel like I've forgotten a lot of things just because I haven't played the matchup in a long time. But I'm definitely really good against those characters.
So you're good against, in particular, the characters that we're seeing a lot of at the top of the bracket, which is obviously extremely helpful in a meta that's so heavily dominated by those characters. So give our viewers a little bit of insight when it comes to Fox, Falco, and Peach. What's the biggest piece of advice that you can give Samus players for dealing with those matchups? Just one piece of advice. I figure we'll be here all night if you try to explain how to neutral each one of these characters.
For Fox, figure out his nair spacings. Fox can nair. If the Fox is really good, they can nair in 5 different places. If they're just a normal Fox, they can nair in 3 places. For Falco, learn how to power shield. It's pretty big. And then for Peach, the key to Peach is hitting her without getting hit. You don't want to trade unless you get a kill. It's sort of like running through a maze. You just have to figure out ways to hit her without getting hit.
And Jigglypuff?
For Jigglypuff, respect backer. Even if you know 100% for certain that the Puff is going to backer, there's still nothing you can do about it. So, like, just take space. Don't try to punish her for doing the back air. You just have to accept that there's nothing you can do about it.
It's always hilarious to me that a creature made out of what I can only assume is gun drops and marshmallow somehow has the foot of a UFC fighter. That has always been impressive to me. Then again, if back air didn't hit hard and if sleep didn't KO them at, like, low percentages, what would Jigglypuff be except for a Pokemon that just happened to make it into Smash Brothers?
I think there are some people that would be okay with that.
I think there's many people who would be okay with that. Moving on to our next question. This next one comes from Miker. Miker wants to know, I apologize, Miker, if I pronounced that wrong, but Miker wants to know, what do you do differently from other Samus players which allows you to do so well?
I think my edge guarding in general is better than other Samus's. I have a better understanding of exactly which options cover what, and I'm pretty good at figuring out people's recovery patterns most of the time. Sometimes I'm just wrong, like, continuously, and it just looks really bad, but most of the time I'm pretty good at figuring them out. The other thing is I'm currently the only person, I guess, trying to really optimize Samus's punish game and look for, like, the guaranteed stuff. Like, in terms of reaction tech chasing, consistently, I think it's only me and Plup right now. Hugo guesses a lot, and sometimes he gets really big punishes because of it, but it's nowhere near as consistent. And then I think my ground game is really, really, really good. Like, where I pick my spots to fight, because I think I understand other characters' options really well. But yeah, so I think those things. Plup, his Samus is just his movement on platforms is way, way, way better than mine, and his movement in general is just better than mine. Like, the way he uses dash dancing and shield dropping and everything with Samus is amazing, and I'm trying to incorporate more of that into my play because I'm pretty stationary overall. I usually just like to walk or move and then just call somebody out really hard for doing something. Plup sort of just makes stuff happen, which is sort of weird, but, you know, I'm trying to incorporate that into my stuff.
Now, you talked about how Hugs in his technique sort of goes more for the guess-heavy style, maybe looks for the reads and things like that. Talk to me a little bit about the divide between newer players and older players, because Hugs is sort of an OG player, and much like other OG players like Mango, he likes to go a little bit YOLO sometimes, but you new school guys have a real focus on analytics, understanding the matchup, doing your research. Is there a big difference between the OG players and the newer players when you enter the bracket?
I think it's more based on, like, how you practice and how you got good, more than, like, the old school and the new school. because players like Mewtwo King are incredibly old school. But he like acknowledges that a lot of the newer tech is better than what he's been doing, and so he's adapted a lot of it into his game. Whereas somebody like Mango and Hugs, they're really stubborn. Like Mango didn't start shield dropping until a while ago, and then now he does it all the time.
To be fair, Mewtwo King arguably is the guy who sort of started that style, because he was the guy sort of isolated from the rest of the scene, sitting in his basement, running over the frame data and figuring it out. So maybe he was the first of the new school players, even though he did come from such a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends.
Mm-hmm.
I think it depends more on the person than really saying like old school versus new school.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Is it motivation for players like you that are trying to break into the scene? Or I mean, obviously for your sake, you very much have broken into the scene. But in order to climb the ranks, is it important for you to sort of do the research and catch up with the gods, if you will, because they've got literally years and years of experience on people? Talk to me about how you close the gap there.
I closed the gap by figuring a lot of stuff out for myself. And every single time a piece of tech comes out for another character, I'll personally go and check to see if it's applicable to mine. I don't think that's something very many people do for their characters. And like for the newer players that are sort of intimidated by stuff like this, like, oh, I don't want to start now because everybody has like 3 years on me or 4 years on me. There's way more information out there now than there ever was before. Like when I started in 2009, the only resource we had was SmashBoards, and that's like completely unorganized. The data is like impossible to find. But right now everything's like cataloged. There's tutorial videos. There's so much stuff that can get you caught up to speed in a way shorter time than like what it took us. It's insane right now to look at like a 1 year Fox now versus a 1 year Fox in 2009. Like it's like night and day how different they are, and how much better the 1 year Fox is now in comparison.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Don't be afraid to wade into the pool and get your feet wet. Obviously, there's a lot of fun experiences, even if they're challenging. A lot of rewarding experiences to be had out there. Our next question comes to us from KGG. I'm not really sure. But welcome to the program. KGG wants to know, why do you think Leffen struggles so much against Samus?
I'd say a portion of that is matchup experience, sort of, because he definitely did go through a lot of that with Plup. I think after DreamHack, he held Plup in his house for like a week or something, and all they did was play Samus Fox. Plup told him, presumably, like all the secrets of the matchup. So I don't know. I couldn't really pinpoint where Leffen's like making the big mistakes. I know against me, at least, there's a point in our set where I basically guessed right in neutral like 3 times in a row, and after that he sort of just fell apart. It's like, because he knows that Samus's neutral options against Fox are usually like a read that's generally not in her favor. Like Samus can cover like one of like Fox's 4 options at any given moment, and so if I'm right 3 times in a row, it sort of feels like impossible. But yeah, I think he just has to put it all together. I don't think he's necessarily bad, because he did a lot of the matchup stuff correctly. It's just he has to put it together.
No, it's weird to me to hear that Plup stayed at Leffen's house and taught him the matchup, especially Plup being a Samus player, although arguably he's more of a Sheik player now. Talk to me a little bit about information sharing in the Super Smash Bros. Melee world, because obviously you talked about Smashboards, so a lot of the information that is known gets out there and is free for everybody. But then we've got people like Prince Abu teaching all of the top pros how to beat the Jigglypuff matchup. Why? I have to know, do people share the secrets of their matchup? Because that feels like occupational suicide.
For Prince Abu, it's mostly because he's doing this for his friends. Like he's really good friends with Armada, and so he's helping his friends win. And I think he doesn't believe that, and like he's getting all that top level practice too, so it's not just like a one-way street for him. And as far as Plup sharing Samus information, I don't know. I don't really mind that much. Cause like at the end of the day, I don't really want to beat somebody just cause they don't know the matchup. I want to beat them cause I'm better at the game than they are. And right now, anybody that claims that they suck versus like Samus, if you're from a region that has a top Samus, you can't say that. That doesn't make any sense. Like, if somebody from like Tri-State or like California or Florida says they suck against Samus, like what have you been doing all your life then? Like, how have you been avoiding playing Samus? I don't really understand. And then like, it annoys me a lot when people say that because I don't have any matchup experience except for in 3 characters: Fox, Puff, and Peach. I don't get to play any other characters, but I don't go around like Johnning about, oh, I only lost to Sheik because I don't know the matchup. I only lost to Falcon because I don't know the matchup. I only lost to Falco because I don't know the matchup. It's I don't know. It's just really annoying. Like, if I lose to a character, I'll accept that I'm bad at it, and then I'll work on it. But there's a lot of people that go around complaining about it, and then they don't do anything about it.
Yeah, it certainly seems like a bit of a cop-out in the information age, and with all you guys attending all these tournaments to say, well, I lost something because I didn't know it. Well, here's the follow-up question. Why didn't you go find out? Why didn't you go learn that matchup? Because at some point you sort of know who's going to be in the bracket and who you might run up against. So, interesting to hear because honestly, I'm a Dota guy, and in Dota, information makes a huge difference. And so, for example, whenever a new patch comes out, which I know doesn't happen in Smash, whenever a new patch comes out, people are very guarded about their picks because they want to sort of surprise people with their new take on the meta. And yet you guys in Melee, it's almost like an honor thing. You almost want your opponent to know you backwards and forwards so you can go out and you can beat him anyway.
Yeah, like everybody that plays Melee wants to see good Melee. Like, bad Melee just looks really, really bad. And so
I would know. I have played bad Melee for since 2001.
And it's also like bad Melee is not fun to watch unless it's like last stock, like game 5. Then it's super, super funny. Everybody plays awful, and it's just really funny to watch because these are people that are like that would beat you like 99% of the time on a normal day, but like right now in grand finals, the last game, the last stock, they're just playing god awful. It's always really funny to watch. But if an entire set is being played badly, like we talked about this before this started, like PP, nobody likes seeing him play bad. Like people that beat him when he's playing bad, they'll also say that they don't really feel like they really beat him because he's just off. He's not in top form. It like sort of diminishes the win. Because Smash is a game with such high, like, day-to-day variance. A lot of people work on decreasing that, but there's still variance day-to-day. And you always want to play your best versus somebody else who's playing their best.
Even if that means not having sort of an information edge on them, huh?
Yeah, even if that's what that means. But, sometimes it is funny playing against somebody that just has no idea what they're doing. And who has actually no way of knowing what they're doing. Like, when I played Hobby at Big House, I think I was still a better player than him at that point, but I could sort of just press buttons at him, and I won because he had no idea what he's doing because he's from Mexico. Mm-hmm. And I don't see how he could have possibly had any Samus experience at all, and how he could have had access to it. So...
So even
yeah.
in that case, I mean, it sounds like there's a bit of a tinge in your voice because you beat him, but you sort of beat him because he didn't have access to the same information or the same practice partners, things like that.
Yeah, and it was funny because he went Young Link, game 3, and yeah, I don't know. It's just funny.
It sort of reminds me of when MVD went 3 different characters at the Twitch Smash competition for Smash 4. I believe it was against Mewtwo King, because he sort of resigned himself to the idea that, well, this didn't work and this didn't work, and I am playing Mewtwo King, so might as well just try out this character and see how it does. And naturally, the results were not pretty. Moving on to our next question. This next one comes from Psycho Waffles, and it's everybody's favorite question. Here we go. Fuck, marry, kill, KJH, Prince Abu, and Hugs.
Obviously, you kill Prince Abu.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody has the same answer to this question. And then for the other two, I don't really know. Yeah.
You can't marry both.
Can I? Can I just like dodge this question?
Are you using your one free pass? Your one get out of
I'm gonna use my pass to dodge this question.
I will take that. By the way, obviously, marry Hugs. Obviously. Obvious. I mean, look at the guy. The guy, he looks like he's got those deep dark eyes. He's got that strong demeanor. You feel like he would be a good provider. You know, I don't know. Hugs, if you're watching this, please don't. Moving on to our next question. This one comes from Not High, Just Tired. Not High, Just Tired, welcome to the show. Not High, Just Tired wants to know, what are some things you need to improve on as a Samus player? Also, Samus color tier list.
Things I need to improve on. I know there are some things that I'm doing suboptimally. It's just doing them optimally is really, really hard, and I can't do it consistently in practice. So I'm not doing them in tournament yet. Things like down throw tech tracing, just a lot of miscellaneous stuff. And like I mentioned before, incorporating more movement into my play to make it harder for them to get a good read on what I'm going to do next. I think stationary Samus is not an optimal Samus. It relies too much on you being correct all the time. And so, yeah, that's something I'm working on. In terms of the color tier list, purple Samus, number 1, obviously. Number 2 would have to be a tie between green and orange. And then brown, and then I think pink is just the worst color.
You don't think brown is the worst? I mean, I can list on one hand the number of things in my life I actually want to be brown. Boy, that came out wrong. Not at all what I intended. Let's just move on to the next question. So you don't like pink? Why not? It's sort of a whimsical spin on Samus's hard exterior.
It's not really about it's because it's a very ugly shade of pink. It's not even like a nice looking pink. It's just not good.
It's like it's pink. I mean, what other pinks are there?
It's just not good. It's the salmon Samus. It's just not good.
Salmon Samus. I'm a big fan of that, and I'm now gonna pick pink every single time in your honor. Well, hopefully when Melee HD comes out, we'll get a slightly different shade of pink at your request. So just send an email to Reggie. I'm sure his inbox is open, and we'll get people right on that. Our next question comes to us from Psychomaniacal. Psychomaniacal wants to know, hey Duck, how do you feel about your current rank on the MIOM Top 100 and also KJHs?
Right now I'm at 22. I think I should be or I think if they updated the rankings right now, people would vote me higher, and I do believe I deserve to be a little higher than I am now. I think I should be top 20, but the goal is top 15 for the next ranking period, so something I'm working on. KJHs, I remembered that the first time I saw it, I was a little surprised that people put him so high, just results-wise. But he's definitely proved this year that he belongs there. And so yeah, I think he's definitely earned his spot. He belongs where he is, maybe a little bit higher, just because of his activity. But yeah.
Is it? I imagine it has to be difficult for the MIOM guys, not just for them who have access to data and obviously ran the spreadsheets and everything like that, but even just for you guys to try to figure out where the hell do I rank in this mess, because there are so many players, and I feel like the skill gap between you guys is closing frequently. I mean, at this point, it feels like we saw Wizrobe at DreamHack Austin, and nothing against Wizrobe, but Wizrobe isn't exactly known for his melee results, and yet the kid shows up with a knee and a prayer and does some magical things until Mango puts a stop to it, which is natural because it's loser bracket Mango. Talk to me a little bit about what those rankings mean to you and how you sort of keep track of where you stand in the rankings, and how much does that affect your confidence?
The rankings as a whole are sort of just like you have to take it for what it is. And what it is a reflection of the top players of each region, since they're on the panel. It's a reflection of how all the top players feel about how good you are at the moment. For most people, it's a source of encouragement, because you always want to be higher. You want people to think that you're better. I don't think anybody is currently satisfied with their place, like where they are on it, except for Armada.
Yeah.
So, so it's like it's a goal for people, and it's just a cool thing to have. It's a cool thing to say that you're like such and such number in the world. In terms of like what it does for my confidence, I don't really think about it that much. The only reason I know I'm 22 is because people ask me all the time, and so I have to remember it. Otherwise, yeah, I don't know. It's not really that big of a deal to me. And because I was on the panel for it last year, I know how difficult it is to rank people accurately. I actually placed myself at 25 on the last ranking, and I ended up at 22. 1 through I think 15 was pretty much agreed on by almost everybody. The variance was pretty low on the data. But once you get past like 40 or 50, it becomes almost impossible, because everybody down like from 50 to 100 is just so close in skill, and like people get forgotten about, names are omitted, like yeah, it's a very hard thing to keep accurate, and people have to take it for what it is. It's not a true like skill statistics based power ranking. It's how top players from every region feel you are at this given moment. And so there is some recency bias, there's some legacy bias, but yeah, you take it for what it is. I think it's a cool thing to have.
Well, obviously, quite an honor to have your name even in the top 25. I'm sure that had to be exciting at the very least. And good luck to you this year for raising your ranking. I think we'll all be watching your results. Our next question comes to us from Cherry Cocaine. Thanks, guys, for letting me say this stuff on the air. Cherry Cocaine wants to know, is there any particular reason you blink hard during sets, or is it just a habit you've always had?
People ask me this all the time, too. The funniest made-up reason I've heard was from Connor the Kid. He said, every time I close my eyes, I'm sending information to Miam. But the reason I do it is because I actually have dry eyes, and so I just need to blink. That's literally the answer.
There's a Visine for that.
I need to blink.
Have you considered eye drops? Because that would probably help a lot.
Yeah, I have, but they help temporarily, but it's not really like they don't last very long.
You must have extremely dry eyes then, because as soon as I put eye drops in my eyes, I feel like I'm like crying for the rest of the night. So then the obvious reason is that you're sending information to Miam. What are the important things that you're telling them during a set?
I'm telling them things like, just based off Connor's Twitter, I'm telling them like what Connor's eating at the moment, what his grades are, who Connor's friends are, what he's doing right now, stuff like that. Very important Miam information.
All the stuff that ends up in the spreadsheets for the year-end rank. Yeah, no, I get it. You're doing your due diligence. I totally get it. Our next question comes to us from, we're only getting better, folks. This one comes from Foreskin Heretic. Foreskin Heretic. How did you react when you were told that you were going to summit in Hax's place?
It was a very, very bittersweet moment for me. I'm a big fan of Hacks. I like him as a dude. But I was really, really happy that I got in. I was happy that I got to play everybody, and then I was really happy that I didn't take my shirt off on Twitter for nothing. um, yeah, it was just very bittersweet. I was happy about it, sad about it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, for what it's worth, you look great on Twitter. You doing paleo? Is that the Chris Pratt workout? Because whatever it is, keep it up, man. It's definitely working. Our next question is yet another one of my absolute favorites. We got a normal username, but we got my favorite question. We've got Fuck, Marry, Kill. That's right. You get 2 in 1 episode. That's how special you are. Plup, Hugs, and ESAM. Also, thank you to Mini Muse for the apology. I wholeheartedly accept.
Can I?
Is this your second pass? No, okay, hold on. You used your first pass already. You got out of jail the first one. The people obviously want to know who you want to fuck, who you want to marry, and who you want to murder. So just get out with it, Duck. Just rip that Band-Aid off.
All right. Well, I think I'm gonna go with the obvious choice of kill ESAM.
Oh,
And then
poor ESAM.
I think I would actually fuck Hugo and marry Plup.
Really? I would have reversed those because Plup seems like the bad boy. He seems like you'd catch him out behind the high school smoking a cigarette after class. or even during class. He's that tough. He's that great.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, we'll take your answer. You got past the question. You lived to tell the tale. Hopefully, please, for the love of God, let there be no more of these coming up in following questions. We've only got time for a couple left, so let's see how many we can get through. This next one comes from Air Pirate 545. Air Pirate wants to know, what was going through your mind during that last stretch of the last game against West Balls?
This might sound really boring, but except for like the last couple seconds, I basically noticed that he was only using back air because it's a really safe move. It kills unpunishable on shield except by up B. If I up B'd on FD, I was gonna die, and so he spammed it. And so I only had to space around that one move, which was actually pretty good. Like, it was really. Yeah, I just only had to space around one move, so it didn't make it that difficult for me. I knew I could win because you can kill Falcon off a hit. And, like, I just had to keep being evasive and shielding and just being really, really defensive. But what I did, that comeback, was only possible because he committed to using one move, which is sort of not his fault because he actually did try a mix-up knee. And he got down smashed for it, and he almost died at 0. So I don't blame him for like not trying again. I think I punished him once for doing a nair. I don't know why he didn't do up air, but in my head it was basically like, yeah, I could still win this. I just have to not do anything really, really dumb. I did panic though when I got that forward tilt. At the end, because I knew I won. All I had to do was go over there and grab the ledge. But like
so
my hand started shaking.
Because you were worried about finishing the deal. Sure, you didn't want to mess it up. That makes sense.
I was like, if I mess up this wave dash to ledge, I'm gonna look like a complete idiot, and I'm probably gonna lose.
That's the kind of thing that turns you into like a Melee broadcast meme. You know, we've got the JV3 stock or JV4 stock. We've got we've got, of course, as soon as I could try to come up with memes, none of them come to mind. But you don't want to be the guy who becomes known for pulling a duck in a situation like that. Absolutely. Well, so okay, but you beat him. How did it feel after? If you were that nervous to finish the job, how did it feel afterwards?
It was just like relief, really. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Yeah, it was just relief, and then I was happy that I won and made top 8 again.
There you go. There you go. And you were right. That was a boring answer. So thank you very much. I wanted to hear that you were thinking about like unicorns or your next meal or stuff like because when I get really into Tetris, my brain actually stops thinking about Tetris and I start thinking about like the temperature of the room and the carpet and stuff like that. It's sort of like a limitless thing, which is why I'm so good at Tetris. But yeah, no, I guess in the last seconds of a professional match, you would be focused on the match. So also congrats for that big win against Westballs. Do you think you'll be able to take him down again this year?
Which made it seem like he knew things that people didn't know. And for somebody who's new to the game, the only reason that they would be doing that is really either because they're doing the same strategy I am, which is observing people's body language, or because they have a role. And so, yeah. And he was doing it during times where I guessed I could have played that so much better. Basically, I made the mistake when I said that I haven't played this game very much before. I could have said literally anything but that, and it would have been fine. I did notice, just from watching people's body language and eye contact, that there's S2J was really fishy, and so was Wobbles. Wobbles said that he was new to the game, but he kept looking around when certain people were talking, which made it seem like he knew things that people didn't know. And for somebody who's new to the game, the only reason that they would be doing that is really either because they're doing the same strategy I am, which is observing people's body language, or because they have a role. And so, yeah. And he was doing it during times where I guessed he would be Mafia. Same thing for S2J. I called him out wrongly. I could have just called him out better. Like, the way I said it was way too easily refuted. He basically just said, "You're full of shit," and everybody was like, "Yeah, okay." But yeah, like I could have called him out better. But yeah, I should not have said that I was new to the game.
By the way, I think the best part of that whole engagement was watching live and watching my Twitter feed at the same time and seeing just the absolute Twitter meltdown when you misplayed that there at the end. People were hashtag
so
not
bad.
Like this, you know. It was
so bad.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. But you've got some experience under your belt. Where do you put your MIM ranking for Mafia?
I'm really bad at Mafia. Just the type of person that I am. I don't like making those like random guesses or like hinging everything on like a single assumption because of something. Just because, yeah, I'm not really a fan of the game. Observing people playing the game, tons and tons and tons of fun. Actually playing the game, not that big of a fan. Because it's cool seeing like people's takes when they lie, or like what people do when they try to when they have to convince other people that they're telling the truth. It's just it's cool, it's interesting. I'm not a big fan of actually playing it.
Do you watch The Mentalist?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, okay. I thought I had you pegged. If you enjoy that stuff, check out The Mentalist every Thursday at 7 on Fox. I have no idea what channel or time it's on. I just want to Anyway, Duck, thank you so much. Unfortunately, we are out of time for questions, but we're all very enthusiastic to hear how you deconstructed the Mafia situation. We can't wait to see you at the Summit 3 so you can maybe go for the gold. And I'm beginning to think that you're playing the long con and you're saying, oh, I don't really like playing this game, and you're already laying the groundwork for your defense in the future, in which case, sir, kudos. Thank you so much. Any shout outs or anything you want to say before we close up shop for the night?
Shout outs to Michigan Melee. Shout outs to everybody that, shout outs to all the people watching. Shout outs to everybody that plays Melee and loves the game. We're definitely still keeping like a 15-year-old game alive at this point. You're all amazing. And then shout outs to the Samus homies. Just keep it going.
Pour one out for the homies. All you Samus homies struggling out there. Hopefully you get some tech information from Duck in this AMA and maybe a little bit of advice on how to play Mafia as well. Duck, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. It was an absolute blast, and I'm just so glad that your internet held up this time. So big shout out to your cable provider. That's going to do it for us tonight, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. If you tuned in, if you were chatting at us, big shout outs to you for watching the show. Thank you so much. And also shout outs to the folks I bumped into at DreamHack Austin who watched the show. I can't believe I'm finally famous enough for people to recognize me, even if it's just in a cursory way at an event where I already spend most of my time. Either way, shout out to you folks, and thank you so much for saying hi. That's going to do it for us tonight. If you like the show, hit that follow button down below the window. Also hit that subscribe button if you're feeling particularly generous. It is $4.99 a month, and you get access to badass emotes, and you support what we do here, and we greatly appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much. If you want to share the VOD with your friends after the fact, check it out over on youtube.com/daily.esports. We're also on Facebook and Twitter for all of your esports needs. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, folks. I've been Ian Double John Barker. No Johns, folks. No Johns. No excuse for that. I've been Ian Double John Barker. Thanks to James for stopping by the show, and we will see you next time.